And we good. We live.
Whoa! Here we are. We are live. Bolt Bros, we are live.
What's up, guys?
What's up?
What up, fellas? Hey, want to say thank you for showing up. We're here. We're here for the Bolt Bros. So we are obviously Bolt Bros. We talk about the Chargers and the opponents. I'm here with my two brothers, Andy and Kyle.
Woo!
What's
We're gonna have a
up?
real
What's up,
fun little
bros?
show today. We
Yeah.
got a good kind of a hodgepodgey kind of show today, talking about Brandon Staley. Rivers talking about Herbert, and do the Chargers have a top wide receiver duo? I don't know. Let's see.
Mhm.
Dang right they
Bolt
do.
Bros.
Let's
Let's
go!
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm excited about this episode, man. I mean, we've kind of had a lot of, it's kind of a dead week, you want to say right now, for a lot of news
Quiet.
Chargers. It's kind of that point where we're sitting here kind of waiting for the season to start. So we're kind of just reading up to everything what we can and get excited more and more for the season. So
Yep.
let's get into it and just talk about Rivers, talking about Herbert. I mean,
Yeah. All right. First
isn't it
topic.
cool just to hear Rivers again? Like,
No, it's awesome to see Rivers again. I was pretty stoked on that, but
Absolutely.
there's a few more things before we want to jump into that.
Oh,
of
that's
course.
right.
I got some
Yeah.
announcements, of course. Yeah. so,
Announcements. Yes.
Obviously, I don't know if you guys have seen on Instagram, on the social medias. But yeah, we have a special event going on. It's not our event or whatever, but it's the Thunder Alley, and Swoop and D tailgate. Chargers Bolt fam, Los Rayos. They're all gonna be down in Mission Bay at 11 o'clock this morning. And it's going to be like a super awesome fan event where everyone's just going to be hanging out and, having some, obviously they'll probably be drinking. They'll be having some barbecue, like burgers, hot dogs, things like that. And it's just going to be a great time. Hope anyone else can make it. I'm going to be there I'm heading down there right after this. And, yeah, and I'm going to be recording and, chatting with people and just kind of like I did at the other barbecue event and just, getting some people's, thoughts about the season, thoughts about Rivers, thoughts about whatever's on their mind, whatever they want to say about the season. Let's go. Let's get into it,
awesome.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
think actually Bolt Pride 602 will be there out from Arizona too. I saw that they were going out to that event, so
Yeah,
that's going to
man.
be cool to see another state representing too.
Yeah, man. I'm still clowning on you, man, because, hey, they coming out. Why ain't you coming out? Come on, bro. What is this?
That's a good
That'll
point.
be good.
Yeah, you
That'll
should
be good.
just get up in that car, dude. Come on, you got 6 hours. There'll probably still be some food
Gas
left.
ain't expensive nowadays or
Ah,
anything
man.
like that. It ain't expensive,
Woo,
right?
Hey, you know what? Hey, it's all good. Just it's worth it,
They're
man.
out there representing.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah. Okay, fine. I'm out here representing too, then, But yeah, so it'll be a good time. I'm excited, and if any of you guys are out there, I'll be seeing you, and let's chat, man. Yeah.
It's exciting. That's going to be a good event to be at, and I mean, it's always great to be able to have an event just before training camp starts
Yes.
too. Get everybody excited too.
Mm-hmm.
Just connect with the community once again,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's always really fun. It'll be interesting to chat with them a little bit about, what is it like for being a Chargers fan in San Diego, and are
Right.
those fans still kind of coming back to the Chargers
Yes.
after the years
Yeah.
of leaving San Diego? So
Yeah.
be interesting to see. I know you're going to record a little bit and chat with them about it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think that'll be a really cool video to check out when you come back. So
Yeah. Exactly.
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Yep.
So let's
like it,
jump
Kyle.
into the episode then.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
Rivers talks about Herbert. Like I said earlier, excited to be able to hear from him.
Yeah.
It's cool that he's actually paying attention to the Chargers still too.
Yes.
There's no ill will or bad feelings, bad blood or anything about us. But I mean, man, his enthusiasm is so infectious. I mean,
Yes. It really is.
I just love hearing how he's like so excited about everything, so enthusiastic about everything. I mean, it's just cool to be able to hear, but it's it's interesting to see. I know he's a coach now for a high school team. I think his son is on that team.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Gunner. Yeah,
Gunner, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
And dude, how cool would it be just to have him as a coach for the Chargers?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah. I've been like
Yep.
dreaming about that
Quarterback's
one for a while.
coach.
Yeah, quarterbacks coach, heck, even offensive coordinator. I don't know how of that. I mean, he probably has a few years to go before becoming like a head coach or offensive coordinator or something like that. But yeah, quarterback coach, that would be amazing. That would be so epic. Yeah.
Would be awesome.
I mean, he's a family guy, right? I mean, he's got how many kids now? How many kids? He's got like 12 kids or something like that. I mean,
he's got a full offense or full defense.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of kids, right? But it's interesting. If you watch Chargers Weekly, Matt Money Smith talked about how they're trying to get him in the booth to, announce games, kind of like a Tony Romo type situation. Because you think about him, he's so marketable, right? Because one, he doesn't swear, right? He's a family guy. And two, he's just a good guy. He understands football, right? Yep. I mean, Tony Romo, he doesn't need the money, right? I mean, bottom line, Phil Rivers does not need the money. He got paid plenty well. And so, but it's really great, seeing what he could do for the NFL. I would personally love to see him announcing games. I mean, it would just be incredible. And but again, I think he cares about his family. He cares about, the people that he's, close with and coaching. And to him, he's just kind of doing whatever he feels like makes sense for him. And he's going to wait for the right opportunity. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens with that, so, but it is good to see Rivers talking about Herbert, recognizing him as a talent, especially when a lot of people doubted him coming out of the draft as well, too, which is really interesting. Sure. So, yeah.
Well, and it's such a cool point that he even said, he's like, how cool it is and how they nailed that pick. And how,
exactly.
Rivers being our quarterback for, 16 years or something like that.
Exactly.
And having such a long, strong career with us. And to now have the guy who he passed the torch to could be that same guy for another 16 plus years. And how that's a very rare situation for fan bases and teams to be able to go from one. I mean, once again, is Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback to another guy that's leading the team or the league in a lot of stats in a very short amount of time being in the league and doing an excellent job of it. I mean, even to say going further before Rivers, we had Drew Brees too. So we've had some great years of just having solid quarterback play. And there's a lot of people out there, like, for instance, friends that are Bears fans, they're like, dude, we've never had a 4,000-yard passer in the team's history. And they're extremely long, drawn-out franchise. And then even to say Broncos fans that I know, they're like, man, we just finally got a quarterback that actually could stabilize that position for us. And we've been going through quarterbacks like no other. And so...
Yeah,
it's just a really cool thing to be able to think about that we are relatively pretty lucky to be able to have a franchise quarterback for so many years, and to be able to go into another one after drafting another one, which is extremely rare to have. So
yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that.
We're lucky. We're lucky. We are so lucky, guys, right?
Extremely.
You just don't want a turd. You don't want a guy that just can't throw the ball, throws picks left after right, and he's just the man.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, it was cool seeing Phil acknowledge that for sure.
Right. Right.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that were chatting about after that, talking about that video. They're like, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Do you think Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you guys think in the chat? You guys think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, I do. Absolutely.
I mean, the guy has huge amount of stats. I think he's fifth in the league and in the history of passing yards, huge amount of touchdowns, obviously. Right. The thing about him is that he was an Iron Man at the position. I mean, he did not miss many games, if any, throughout his career.
Yep.
And I think it was something, dude, it was crazy amount. I don't know if he broke Brett Favre's probably not Brett Favre's record, but he was always there. He was a reliable guy. The best player is the available player, and he was always available to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. So, he played, didn't he play through the 2007 playoffs with a torn ACL or something like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Two.
Yeah.
He had two torn knees, I believe, in that game. Yep. So he was still out there doing it, and that's crazy. Yeah. So he had 240 consecutive games starting with 252 actually adding playoffs to his career. So he's basically played 252 straight games. That was the longest active streak in the NFL and the second longest streak in NFL history. So he's a stud. He's a stud. I don't see why he wouldn't be a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, he's done some phenomenal things as a quarterback. Obviously, he's a really good dude, and dadgummit, it would be great for him to be in the NFL booth.
Dadgummit. Starting to sound like dad now, James. Dadgummit.
That's what he says.
Darn
That's what Rivers says. He always says that. Dadgummit.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Dadgummit. He never cusses, right?
Yeah.
So
that was great.
It's interesting you say that. I think personally he's absolutely Hall of Fame quarterback for sure, right? You know, and again, you're right, not having. And I'm looking at some of the chats here. It's unfortunate, right? Since he didn't get a ring, I could see the argument. But look, at the end of the day, the body of work that he created in the NFL is hard to replicate. And you would put his numbers up against just about anybody. And, you know, it's good to see that Phil Rivers is, you know, getting that recognition. I think he'll definitely be, in the Hall of Fame. It's just going to take some time, right?
Yeah. I think though. I think for me though, like for him to get into Hall of Fame, it kind of depends on what class he's going to be put against. I think, right? Because there's only a certain number of people that they put as Hall of Famers per year, right? And like eligibility starts after what, 10 years or something like that? After
it's 5. I think it's 5.
Okay,
it's 5. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm curious because who's it? Eli Manning and Roethlisberger and him and Breeze actually all retired about the same time. So if anything, that could be a weird thing where like maybe like he's competing against them to be inducted into the Hall of Fame and could get not voted in, you know, because all the other guys did win the rings, and you know they obviously played equally as long. And so it's like, I don't know, man.
But they did retire before Rivers though too, so they could kind of stack them too if they want to say. And going back on that, just a great point that you're bringing up, Kyle. That was the 2004 draft class, so you got to think.
Correct. You got Eli
Manning in there.
Sheila Manning.
Raplesberger. Yeah.
And then Rivers in there. That's 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks coming out of that draft. I mean,
out of that draft. Yep.
That's wild.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, even to say go further, let's go back to the 2020 draft, and you think, okay, well, we got Joe Burrow, who's got to the Super Bowl already. I mean, you got Tua. We'll see where he goes. And then we got Justin Herbert. I mean, it could be a repeat potentially. I'm not saying Tua's a Hall of Fame guy by any means, but like,
you never know.
We'll see. It takes time to be able to learn the position again in the NFL.
Right.
And so I don't know. You know, it's just interesting to think that was a very quality 2020 draft for quarterbacks.
Right.
So who knows? Who knows where we're at? But I mean, that's very far down the road to really say this guy's a Hall of Famer or whatnot. But it's interesting to think about what the 04 draft was and what kind of talent came out of that draft. So
exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Also, one thing I was thinking about, if Rivers does get into the Hall of Fame, I know there were some talks about Marty Schottenheimer going into the Hall of Fame, and obviously Don Coryell or Air Coryell going into the Hall of Fame too. So how cool would it be if, and obviously Marty Schottenheimer passed away, but
so sad.
Yeah,
that's something that would be cool to be able to see if Marty Schottenheimer goes in with Phillip Rivers too. So that would be kind of an interesting correlation there at that time. So there's a timing aspect to this that could get involved, and to be able to kind of make it a very Charger-esque Hall of Fame ceremony. I mean, you got to even think about, there's also Antonio Gates too. I mean, he's Hall of Famer, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. He's definitely going to be part of that Hall of Fame there too. I think didn't I see something about him where he's like, he has the most touchdowns of any tight end or something?
Well, definitely undrafted player. That's for dang sure. I don't think he's got the most ever.
No. I think Tony Gonzalez does currently.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Tony Gonzalez.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, one last thought. I know, and I talked to you guys about this a little bit before we hopped on, and I was thinking a lot about Phil Rivers in his first year, and you know how like a lot of people. I was watching a lot of old videos about his draft, and how a lot of people didn't really think he would be very good. Or not Phil Rivers, excuse me, Justin Herbert would be good because he threw 50% screens at Oregon, was very inconsistent downward passing. So it made me think a lot about Isaiah Spiller and how Isaiah Spiller really came from a team that did not, I mean, they basically made him have to win the game for Texas A&M, right? They did not have a supporting cast around him.
Yeah.
So My thought in saying this and my inspiration was like, wow, maybe Isaiah Spiller being a rookie of the year coming out of the Chargers. I mean, I think there's a good chance that he could be just because he's got a great line now. Austin Eckler already says, I don't want to take the ball all the time. I want to split carries. Even if Isaiah Spiller maybe had 15 carries a game,
right,
and Austin Eckler took maybe 10 carries a game and then was used more in the pass game, man, how amazing would that be? He would look incredible.
That'd be awesome.
Right?
Heck yeah.
But Austin Eckler's smart about that though, because at the end of the day, he also knows nobody's going to take his carries unless somebody is good or close to as good as Austin Eckler is. So
right.
And we saw that viral video on Twitter about Isaiah Spiller, doing the cone drills with his dad. I think tennis balls were involved. I mean, it was a pretty cool little video. So maybe Kyle, you can put that in the chat or if you edit the video. But it's a pretty cool little video showing his footwork, and he's an impressive kid, man. I'm more and more excited about that guy. I'm really excited to see him this off season and see what he can do this season. So
me too.
Anyway, just a little interesting thought there.
Yeah, that footwork was pretty nasty. Like in the stop-go aspect of things and the awareness of where the ball's coming from and everything. I mean, I was really impressed by that. And the cool thing about Isaiah Spiller, he really keys his game, or basically bases his game off of Adrian Peterson. And he's not obviously Adrian Peterson, but I mean, we don't know. I mean, we don't know till he's on the field, and we don't know what he's going to end up doing. But I mean, seeing that drill was like, wow, that was pretty incredible to see. Great footwork, great awareness, stop-go aspect. I feel like that's one of the biggest things about a quality running back is a stop-go ability and awareness around him.
Yeah.
And know where, and to be able to hit the hole, just like LT in that song.
Right.
Hit that hole.
Hit that hole.
Hit that hole.
Hit that hole,
dude.
That's right. So I think it's going to be awesome to see him play this year. And I mean, really, that would be an interesting thought to be able to put him as a Rookie of the Year candidate. Like, I mean, it could be a relatively bold because he is also an RB2. But, dude, who knows? Who knows? The season is long, and he could end up being one of the better offensive players for the NFL. So who knows? That would be incredible to think about that.
Yeah.
Cool. By the way, I did look at Gates. He is the leader in touchdowns of all time.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was. I don't quite remember where I saw it, but I was trying to find it. Yeah.
116 touchdowns all time to 111 with Tony Gonzalez.
Right.
Gronkowski is retired, so he's not going to catch up at 93. Jimmy Graham.
Is he really going to retire, though? Is he really?
We'll see about that.
It's like Tom Shady, dude. He just comes back to cancer, dude. You know what's going on here?
Exactly. Shoot. Yeah.
And then Jimmy Graham was fourth at 85. Witten is definitely, I think, retired. So really, it's like Kelsey would probably be the only threat, and he's at 60 right now.
Dang. That's wild to think that it's only 60, because I know him and Patrick Mahomes have like a really tight bond. They even have they're even like neighbors right now. Like they literally have a house together, like like right next to each other. So I don't know.
Well, he's got a passing buddy all the time. Hey, let's go throw some balls around. Here you go.
Yeah.
Go in the backyard. Have a good time.
Yep.
So
it's wild.
But awesome. I know. Did we have any questions? I know.
I know. Aether is, he's been chomping at the bit for a bunch of questions. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead and shoot it over. I know he chatted a little bit about AFC Championship to the Super Bowl. Do you want Lamar in Baltimore or Buffalo at home facing hungry and dangerous? I want Baltimore. So that's basically if we get the first seed, obviously.
Sure.
I believe I answered that question already to him through chat, but
I think maybe he's addressing it to both of us, huh?
Yeah, he wants to hear from you guys, I think, on this too.
So. All right, yeah.
So do you want Baltimore at home or do you want Bills at home? So that obviously would mean that we would need to be able to have probably the first seed to be able to make that happen.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't want to go to Buffalo during a first seed AFC Championship game because that
we do not want that. We do not want that.
Yeah.
Late January, cold weather.
Well, either one of those, it's going to be cold. Either one of those places.
Either one of those.
Yeah.
So one of those.
Yeah. So
we don't like that cold weather. We don't like that.
No. We want that. We want that first seed for sure in the AFC, and I think we actually have a chance of getting it. We can definitely beat out Baltimore. This year for getting the best record. I think probably can even beat Buffalo too. I guess we should figure out what their schedule's like. Hey, maybe we should actually do a little bit of a research and actually do a way too early playoff predictions thing, for like the season. You know, like why the heck not? You know, like
that would be good.
Do a couple scenarios, like what it would look like for Chargers at first seed or second seed or something. You know, like and just like come to the table together to see what we got together.
Yep.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
that'd be good.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Do you guys want Baltimore at home or do you want Buffalo at home?
Baltimore for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely rather have. I mean, honestly, I definitely want Baltimore at home for sure, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be Buffalo still though. You know, like I mean, and it's gonna just really depend on the season, obviously. But I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna have first seed, and they're gonna have second seed. That's my, hope, and I really feel like we have a chance of doing that this year. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to say whether or not,
Well, I'll also say this too. Buffalo will have a much easier season than the Chargers have, right? Because coming out of the AFC best is going to be tough, right? Definitely. I mean, all four of those teams are really good, but I will say this for sure, that if we do not see, personally, I would say everyone in the NFL would probably want to see the Chargers and the Bills in the AFC Championship game, period, right? That's probably what the NFL would want, because they're arguably two of the best teams, and that's what everyone says preseason, right? Paper team, all the above, but man, I'm just telling you, I just think that would just be such an amazing game. And personally, that game, in my opinion, is probably that's really the Super Bowl, in my opinion, right? It's kind of unfortunate when you see an AFC team play an NFC team, because I always feel like the NFC teams are so much easier. They're just not stacked the same way as the AFC teams. Yep. So I get a little frustrated sometimes at the Super Bowl. And I mean, really, I think what everyone wanted to see last year was the Bills and the Rams, and that didn't happen. And so, anyways, it's really interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, to your point, Aether, I would definitely say Baltimore at home. But I think a lot of people want to see the Bills and Chargers AFC Championship game. At least that's what I would love to see. For sure.
Agreed.
So, best on best.
I was just looking at the Bills' first 7 games of the season to start out, and they're the opening game against the Rams on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game.
Yep.
And then they play the Titans. Yeah. They play the Titans, and then they play the Dolphins, then they play the Ravens, then they play the Steelers, then they play the Chiefs, then they play the Packers.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a gauntlet of playoff teams, basically.
Yeah, they have a very tough first half of the season, it looks like, Yeah.
The second half gets kind of easy though, right?
Yeah, it looks like
it. Waning off.
Then it goes like Jets, Browns, Jets, Vikings, Browns, Lions, Patriots, Jets again, obviously Dolphins again, Bears, Bengals, and then Patriots. So it's like basically all their divisional opponents are like in the second half of the season, it seems like. So wow, that's wild.
The schedule is really going to play in where they get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Huge.
Agreed.
Going to be huge.
You know what? It's crazy to me because I think that's a very favorable schedule for them to get into the playoffs, because they're going to know where the other teams are, and then they're going to know, like, be playing all the divisional opponents at that point, and they're like, they could be 8-0 or that whole second half of the season. I guess the Bengals one could be a tough one though, because that's obviously like, they were a Super Bowl team. And they only got better this offseason too, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, on paper, every team did get better offseason too, right? Everyone shuffles things around and whatnot.
Chiefs didn't get that much better. That's for sure.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, they lost time. That's a good point.
And
the Raiders. Yeah. Oh.
And it's so funny. And James and I were talking about this the other day. We were just chatting, and I'm like, it's so funny how many people talk about the Raiders being so improved this season. I'm like, man, I just don't see them being that much better.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can understand why people would say that, right? They got a Patriot-style offense, yet now, Josh McDaniels, let's see how he really does.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, the Raiders organization, just kind of always a train wreck every year. But anyways, that does transition us to our next topic, guys.
Yeah. Yep.
Why don't we talk about a real head coach that actually matters, guys? And maybe Brandon Staley, right?
Heck yeah, baby. the Church of Staley right here.
Hey, Kyle, let's do a poll right now. Let's do a poll right out of the gate.
All right.
Do we think Brandon Staley will win MVP or excuse me, Coach of the Year next year?
Okay. All right. I'll set that up in a second.
And I will say this, I actually really do think he will. In fact, I know I talked to you guys about some of the bets I'm throwing down in Vegas. One is going to be that Brandon Staley is going to win Coach of the Year next year. And I'll tell you why. Here's my general thesis. And I wanted to maybe I'll do a longer short video on this maybe this week. But look, he is kind of the hot coach, right? Everyone is mimicking what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball. And they're taking people away from his coaching staff that he's taught. And so the NFL is really paying attention to what he is. And bottom line, NFL is a copycat league. They're already trying to do what they're doing on the defensive side at the Rams already. So I just think there's a lot of great eyes on him. If we at least get to the AFC Championship game this year, I think there's still let's say we don't get to the Super Bowl, he still could win Coach of the Year because of his hypeness and just the way he has transformed this team. And improve this team and made this team better. So that's just my thoughts. What are you guys' thoughts? And what are you guys' thoughts in the chat? Am I way off? What are you thinking? And would you like me to do a deeper, wider video on that maybe this week?
Yeah, may as well. Let's do it. Yeah.
It's such an interesting thing about. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Go for it.
Why not? I mean, you're already talking about doing it. Just do it, man. It's like, hey. You don't need to ask for permission. This ain't grade school. Like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, teacher.
Can I use the restroom, teacher, please?
I need to go potty. Yeah.
Permission slip over here. Yeah, got it.
Need a hall pass, bro? Come on now.
Yeah, no hall pass. No hall pass.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is, man, Brandon Staley. So it's interesting because Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports basically ranked him 17th out of 32 head coaches in the league. And, I think that's somewhat fair. And it's really kind of like you think he ended last season at 9-8. So you think, hey, middle of the pack kind of situation. But, I was watching some of the older games from last year, 2021. And, the thing about it is like, we were maybe a game away from basically taking the AFC West.
Absolutely.
We really were. Yeah.
And it wasn't like that far off, and we didn't have nearly as much talent as we have now. So, there's a lot of people, and I know there's some of my friends that are, fans of the Broncos or, let's say Steelers, Bears, whatever. They're like, yeah, it's kind of gnarly that Brandon Staley's making these calls at 4th down and everything. Well, I think Brandon Staley just knew his defense, and he knew, hey, man, like, I'm not saying I don't have confidence in you, but at the same side, I'm going to keep the ball in my number one player's hands.
Yep.
And
that's Justin Herbert.
That's Justin Herbert. Keep it in Herbert's hands. And forever and ever and ever, I'll always put a reference back to that Raiders game.
Right.
I mean, the amount of throws, 4th and 21, throwing the ball for a laser to touchdown.
Yep.
Like, all these passes that are, like, incredible, and giving him the ability to do something like that and having the confidence in that, players love seeing that. And I think that's why we have such a talented team now, because they think this coach believes in us and wants us to do, and he'll put the game on us. And it's pretty phenomenal. I think that Staley is going to be only better this year. And
I think so. Well, and he also has a defense, right, that could stop people. And he has his special teams, right? That's completely stacked. I knocked over my mic here. And so it's one of those things where he has everything around him to do everything he needs to do as a head coach, right? I think you're right. I think he kept thinking, well, do I want to let my defense get out there? Well, we need to get the offense going. So go get it, guys, right? Get your heads going the right way and make it happen. So he, there was a couple times I remember he even talked about going on 4th down. He's like, look, I got to get our offense moving. We were not moving correctly at all.
Yeah.
So he got aggressive to let them know, hey guys, get your head in the games. Let's make this happen. And I like that. He's forcing them to improve their game.
Yeah.
And that's what a good head coach does. Kyle, I didn't mean to talk
no,
over you.
No. I was just gonna say that. Yeah, it was just crazy because he was like, it's like it was honestly like that was such a strange call to me, like, or to us as like, fans were like, what? We're like, in like what actually it's called the green zone over here, like, and freaking, and we're just going for it on 4th down, even though we're like, this is you should punt this ball situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, okay, let's do this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's really wild to me that he did that. And hey, the big balls Staley, like, I mean, we gotta freaking make things happen like that. And like, if that's what he felt like he needed to do as a head coach, let's freaking go, man. Like,
well, we still got to make that shirt too, Kyle. We got to get that shirt, Big Ball Staley.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, maybe that's a side project you need to work on this weekend. Make that happen.
Yeah. I definitely got a bunch of shirt ideas that I need to just kind of like work on and stuff like that. Maybe,
dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Blockbuster boys, dude, with the defensive line, dude. Heads of the defensive line, dude. How sick would that shirt be, dude?
Absolutely.
I think it'd be fantastic.
Get
Blockbuster boys.
Yeah, they're all like the defensive, like the front seven is gonna be like, in Blockbuster Video, like, putting things up in there, putting the tapes in the shelves. It's like,
oh, it'd be fantastic. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, though, and I know in the chat they were chatting a little bit about Brandon Staley. It's like, he has everything to gain this year, and he has everything he wants as a coach. And, the thing about it is, like, year one as a head coach is like figuring out who
exactly
you want on the team. And you got to think, the Raiders have a new head coach. The Broncos have a new head coach. They're in their first year trying to figure out who fits their system.
Yeah.
So there's a side to me where I'm like, there's a lot of hype behind those teams, but at the same side, dude, they're still first year coaches for that team.
Yep.
They still have to figure it out, dude. Like, and so I don't really think they'll do well. I hope the Raiders don't do well, because I like seeing them at the bottom.
Yes.
The toilet bowl,
FDR, baby.
The toilet bowl. I want to go nowhere.
Dragged up and down that field, man. It's like, like, that's right. They need to be horizontal the entire time.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Agreed. But the thing about it is, with Brandon Staley, Pro Football Focus ranked them as the Chargers as the 3rd overall roster in the league. I mean,
which is huge.
And
awesome. Once again, paper team, but we have tons of talent, and that really bodes well for Brandon Staley. That bodes well for Herbert. That's why there's this talk of Brandon Staley being coach of the year. That's why there's this MVP talk for Herbert. That's why there's a lot of hype behind the Chargers, because we have a solid team. So there's no reason. There's no reason. I think Herb just threw out, says bolt up, don't punt. Hey, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
That's right.
Let's go.
I like that.
Let's go. And I think that would be a fantastic shirt of bolt up, don't punt. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Like, I'm good with that. But I don't know. I think Brandon Staley's in a great position.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and and maybe one last thought on this as well too, right? I think we did maybe talk about this, but I think people are saying he's number 17th out of 32 head coaches.
Right.
Personally, I think he's much higher than that. But again, he hasn't proven anything at this point, right? I think you got to first make it to the playoffs and really show that you're a dominant team, right? Again, there were so many games last year that we just lost because we couldn't score as many points as the other team.
Right.
I mean, it was a shootout every game. I mean, we saw every game last year. Every game was a damn shootout. It was like, why couldn't our defense stop anything? We were, so frustrating.
Yeah,
but it made games exciting. But
agreed.
Yeah. But I think if we start blowing out teams dominantly, then I think Brandon Staley will continue moving up that list. And if we make it to the AFC Championship game, which, guys, by the way, we do not make it to the AFC Championship game, this season is a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean, huge disappointment.
Right.
I mean, if we don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's a disappointment.
I think Brandon Staley minimum is he needs to win the AFC West.
Yes.
And that's one of his minimum
I think that's
bars.
Yeah, that's the minimum bar for sure. Yep. And I'll say this though too. My answer kind of goes into what Aether was saying, and I know Herb did have a question as well.
Okay.
But the reason why I think Brandon Staley will win Coach of the Year in 2022 is if he flips the script on the defense. If we have a successful, literally bottom 5 to top 5 defense, then 1,000% we're gonna win. He's gonna win Coach of the Year on that, because I mean, on paper we are the best defensive team, like team as a whole unit in the league. Like hands down. I mean, there are people say, oh, like the best secondaries. It's like somewhere else, whatever. The best front line somewhere else. But as a whole, as a unit, our team is the most stacked and ready to go out of everything. And So if he can make this happen, then yeah, 100%. Like if we're going from bottom 5 to top 5, we are 1000% going to win Coach of the Year. And to his question itself, he was asking if what was more likely to happen first, a top 5 defense or is a top 5 offense, or no, top 1 offense. Well, we already were.
I would say top 5 defense.
I would say top 5 defense, 1000%.
Yes.
Yeah, because
100%.
Because we were already a top 5 offense. And honestly, like that's all we need. We don't need a top in the number 1 offense at all. But hey, I mean, if we can make that happen, that'd be great. Like if maybe Isaiah Spiller or like Austin Eckler has an LT type year, and then Justin Herbert has his repeat year from last year. Dude, what is that? Like 40 points a game at that point? Who's going to be able to? We don't even need we don't need a top 5 defense at that point, baby. We just freaking blow them out of the water every single game.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Even if you get one takeaway, one takeaway in a game can make all the difference, right? And I think it's exactly why Brandon Staley wants to go 5-1-5 is what we're thinking he's going to do.
Yeah.
That brings me to one of my other points about Brandon Staley winning head coach there. And I think I brought this up on my short video that I talked about with Kyle Van Noy last week, that I really think Brandon Staley is going to use Kyle Van Noy and the team that he has now in a very creative way this next year. I really think we're going to see some interesting exotic packages of defense, right? Yep. I know we're talking about 5-1-5, but I do think there's going to be a lot more. The whole playbook of the defensive side of the ball is going to be more open because we finally have personnel that could really run his defense that he has in his mind, right? So I think that's going to be a constant change this season.
Yeah.
So again, I've always said this. I just said this earlier that the NFL is a copycat league. People are going to copycat whoever is successful out there.
Yeah.
And if Brandon Staley comes out and shows some crazy blitzes and crazy like exotic packages, the high 5 defense that we're talking about, he's a lock for Coach of the Year at that point because he's changing the game. He's evolving the game, and that goes a long way in the NFL, in my opinion. So, like Air Coryell you're talking about, we talked about earlier and all this and that, right? People that can change and move the game forward get a lot of recognition in the NFL. So that's my take on it.
Absolutely.
And just the last point about how I love Brandon Staley. He's always thinking like a coach. And, him and his wife were out in Europe for the first time, and he went to the Wimbledon, and he was like, the reason why I came here is because I want to be at Wimbledon, but 2, I also wanted to see the top athletes of the world and how they prepare to be able to play their game at the top level or highest point of their career.
Yeah.
And how they prepare. And that's a thing. Like he always, even to say some of those videos, the behind the scene videos that the Chargers do and everything, he does a lot of like talk about like NBA championship team, like the Warriors, and how they prepare as a team. And what they do as a team and what kind of packages they end up doing or how do they put themselves in successful situations. He wants to see all sports and how they work together and how he could basically bring that to his team, kind of having that championship mindset and how to prepare his players to be more championship ready. And I think he's just a stud as a coach. He's always coaching and he always wants to be better and he always wants to be able to have and I think the reason why that Chargers brought him in was because they wanted to change the culture. Yeah. And this is year 2 of Brandon Staley. And I think, to be honest, if he hasn't already changed the culture right now, I don't know what the next level of culture change would be because he's brought in key top level players to this team.
Absolutely.
And I really feel, once again, last season, we went 9-8. We were 1 game away. We were 1 second away from tying a game to go into the playoffs first year. 1 game away from essentially potentially putting us into an AFC West championship. So there's the thing, like he was so close last year with less talent. This year, the talent is so much higher.
Right. So much higher.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm excited. We're only a couple of weeks away. Like,
I had a dream about the Chargers, man.
We have about 9 Sundays left until football returns.
I like 9 Sundays.
I like saying it that way better because it sounds so much closer. Yeah,
it does sound closer. I like that. I like that.
So
and guys, we are going to be doing live videos of the games as well too. We'll be watching the games. We're kind of planning on working our formats on that as well. And by the way, also in the chat down below, Also, do you like it? Would you rather us do videos on Saturdays or Sundays? Does that really matter for you? You know, what works best for you guys?
Right.
Always sort of curious.
Yeah. I know we had a couple. We had another question though here from Herb, and it kind of goes on before.
Okay.
Kind of goes on to a little bit what I was talking about too, I should say, because Herb is asking. So his question is: so what do you guys make of the recent talk around J.C. Jackson falling off the radar? People are saying that he will be a repeat like other. He will. I think is not able to repeat like what he did last year, like other Patriots players. When they move on to other teams. I guess yeah. So like I mean, thinking about that, like just kind of like I talked about though, you know, like I mean, if Brandon Staley can flip the script on going from bottom 5 to top 5, then we're in the money right there. But to the question. I've kind of been thinking a lot like that too. I don't 100% know if J.C. Jackson's going to have a 9 interception year because of the quality of quarterbacks he has to face in the AFC West versus the AFC East. And I've been kind of saying that for a while now because, I mean, Derek Carr is definitely like, you know, the odd man out, you know, but Patrick Mahomes, he's also got some kind of magic or whatever like that. He's got some voodoo.
He does.
Because like literally he's like falling on the ground, literally horizontal, still throws the ball and gets it again to Kelsey's hands.
Exactly, correct. He's special.
There's something magical about that guy. I don't know, man. But I do also like it's hard for me to say because on the flip side we have, you know, J.C. Jackson has not had the level of talent on the defensive side that he has now, with like all the amount of pressure going to the quarterback, you know, from that front 7 is going to be astronomical. You know, like I mean, they have to make a decision within 3 seconds or less than 3 seconds, probably, to get that ball
much
off.
Less than 3 seconds
and
2 seconds.
Yeah, and then all the coverage that's going to be out there is going to be so like heavy. They're not going to be able to have enough time on that. So he's just they're either just going to throw the ball away or they're just going to throw a duck up in the air and like in, you know, it's so I think this is honestly like,
land your plane, Kyle. Land your plane. What are you getting at here?
Honestly, I'm saying I can't honestly answer it very well, you know, because
okay, let me answer it for you. Let me answer it for you.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to J.C. Jackson. He will have an off year. And the reason why is they're going to go away from him 100%. They're not going to throw the ball to him. He is going to lock up their number 1 quarterback or wide receiver, period. Devontae Adams, you know, whoever that guy is, he's going to be locked up. So they're not going to throw to him. So he won't get as many pick opportunities as he had last year. So if he has 5 interceptions, that would be a great year for him because they're not going to throw to him. So that's my take on it. Now, I don't know. Is that kind of what you were thinking, Kyle, or am I putting words in your mouth at this point?
I can't honestly answer the question, you know, because
really?
there's way too many factors for me to like, you know, to really like put a solid landing on it, you know. Like,
we really haven't had a lot of hands-on with him either yet, so we don't really know what to expect.
Right.
Now, one of my thing, and Andy's point, absolutely, like that's my thought too. That it's like, hey man, like he's going to be on the number 1 wide receiver. He's going to be kind of controlling that individual. I don't think anybody's going to really try to throw to the guy at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because they think it's kind of that Revis Island kind of situation where you just don't throw that guy. Yeah. And like, because he's going to basically, I mean, he's led the league in interceptions for years. And he's Mr. INT for a reason because he's got great twitch ability, great ability to get to the ball. I think he's just going to be a phenomenal player. Now, once again, the ex-Patriots player going to other teams is definitely a true curse.
Very true. Yeah.
I mean,
same with coaches.
Exactly.
Look at Josh McDaniels. He was an absolute dud when he was at the Broncos. He had 1 season as a head coach. Yeah.
And we hope he does that to the Raiders this time. And so,
yes,
let's do it. So it's one of those things that you think about that like, okay, there is a curse getting away from the Bill Belichick side of things. There is a system intact for the coaches, for the players, that they just don't develop as well. I mean, you think of Jimmy G. Jimmy G was a guy that came from the Pats. Jimmy G, he's actually had a pretty good career. Not bad. He's gotten to the Super Bowl, right? Like, he's not bad. There's dudes that have done well outside of it. It's not a huge list by any means, but the one reason why I'm gonna kind of say my hesitation to this is J.C. Jackson going to be the same player after getting now paid to be a number one cornerback, CB1 basically, because I always feel like an undrafted guy, it's probably getting paid a couple mil, maybe if that, to all of a sudden jumping to tens of mils and having plenty of money on his plate now. Do they settle at that point and start not being as enthusiastic as trying to get to that big contract? So my hopes is that he has a passion for the game and that he wants to still be that number one cornerback. And that's my hopes that he's going to be that. Is he going to have a fall off year? For sure. I think so. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a couple picks. Like Andy said, 5 picks would be great. I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that wide receiver that he's covering is not getting those long catches, not getting mini catches, keep the catch rate low.
Yeah.
And then if he gets 3 to 5 picks, one of them pick 6, let's go. In the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, I'll take it all day. That's worth all the money in the world. And so will he have a fall off year? I think so. But I think the thing is, though, just nobody's going to throw to him.
Yeah. Well, think of it this way. Let's say you have J.C. Jackson and then you have Trayvon Campbell out there. But you have Campbell on the other side with maybe your number 3 wide receiver.
Right.
That's a better matchup than J.C. Jackson against your number 1 wide receiver versus your number 3 wide receiver and arguably one of the worst cornerbacks in the league, right? So you're going to go with the guy that you think has a better percentage chance of not making a play. And it'll be the same thing with like Mike Davis or Callahan or whoever, right? So again, it's an analytics league, right? So statistically, you're going to say, okay, I have a better chance of winning that matchup because this guy is that much worse than my number 3 wide receiver. I know I could get him the ball on a wheel route or whatever, something very simple or a slant route that's a lot easier to make a play. Anyways, so we don't want to beat a dead horse, but that's a great question. Really,
really.
What were your last thoughts?
Yeah, my last thoughts are, I was like, I definitely got to go with that. Like that, it's going to be a slump year, a little bit, it's not going to be like really bad or anything like that, but it's just like, he's not going to get the targets, and that's kind of a good thing, but it's also like, because they're just not going to throw his way. Like, just like, a lot of other players, like, Revis, Ramsey, all those people, they don't throw their direction very often. And so because of that, he's going to have kind of a down year, but it's not going to, he's still going to have an amazing year. I guess my biggest worry still is a little bit, I don't want to throw this out there, I don't want to, but too much. I do kind of feel like Devontae Adams is going to shake him loose quite often though too. So, because
he's a talent.
He's number 1 wide receiver in the league, in my opinion.
He's a talent, man.
Yeah, and he's gonna have problems with him for sure. Because I've watched some of his tape, and his route running is pretty much unmatched. It's like he's really hard to read and really hard to kind of keep up pace with, and so it's gonna be tough. Like, we're gonna have to double team him no matter what. I don't know if you're gonna have J.C. Jackson and Nasir Adderley going his way, and then have Derwin James going somewhere else or whatever. But that's kind of how I see that scenario working out there.
It'd be interesting.
And just to segue, I think as you're talking about wide receivers, the next topic was talking about that the Chargers by Bucky Brooks of the NFL.com rated Keenan Allen top and Mike Williams as a top wide receiver duo in the league, like top number 1,
top.
Right.
Yep.
And, look, me as a fan, you're always going to be like, yeah, of course. That's totally true.
We've known that forever. The league is finally taking notice, right?
You're finally catching up with us now here.
Yeah, exactly.
But do I think that? I don't truly think that. I think we do have very good wide receivers.
I'm gonna pull up something here right now. You know what? And we actually have a history of that right now. Sorry, maybe you had more thoughts.
Sure.
I kind of jumped the gun a little. I didn't want to put it up just yet.
No, let's talk a little bit about it first. And then
but I was trying to prepare this a little bit.
Sure.
In the background, it didn't work out too well though.
Yeah,
that's great. Block me out. Don't be
there you go, dude.
All right, yeah.
Get me out of there.
I'll just block. Let's put it right. Put it right in the middle.
You could just flash it on the screen real quick. But
yeah.
We'll
talk
just
about,
to talk about that.
We'll talk more about this later. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, continue your thought.
You're just like, yeah, what are we doing here?
Hey,
anyways,
still trying to figure out this whole stuff here.
So, just to talk about who we have, obviously Mike Williams, I think he's a great 50-50 catcher, great body size, good speed, good route running. I'm going to be interested to see how he plays this year now with a bigger contract and kind of a settling or a contract that makes him feel comfortable in the position. Is he going to be better this year? Obviously Keenan Allen does what he does, an absolute perfect route runner. Can't be held down one-on-one. I mean, the guy just finds a way to get open, constantly over 100 catches a year. If we go into this season, the talk about Herbert being an MVP, I think he'll get over 5,000 yards. I think he'll have 40-plus throwing touchdowns. Total potentially could be about 45 to, potentially 46 total touchdowns through running. I think he's going to do great things. Now, just what Kyle was putting up on the screen,
right, now
and throwing it all out everywhere.
There you go, right there, right there in the middle. That's better. Yeah.
Could we have 3 1,000-yard receivers this season? And we've done it before. We were the first team back in the Air Coryell days with basically Charlie Joyner, John Jefferson, and Kellen Winslow.
There you go.
Yep.
And it's totally possible. It's something that we could potentially do this year, and we almost had it with Eckler back in 2019 with Eckler, Williams, and Allen.
Yep.
And who knows? Like, maybe we have that offense this year to be able to do that. So I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts about the whole idea of our wide receivers being top wide receiver duo in the league?
You want to go first, Andy? Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's spot on. I mean, look, we know the talent that we have with Justin Herbert. My only argument to this would be I think Justin Herbert's going to do a good job of spreading the ball around. He is not going to lock in on just a couple different people, right? I think he's going to throw, again, going back to the J.C. Jackson question, having an off year. Again, the NFL, they scheme, okay, we think their number one is going to be on Mike Williams. They think their number 2 cornerback is going to be on Keenan Allen. And they're going to break it down that way. Well, where are the matchups that we like? Okay, Everett's going to be covered by a linebacker. I'll take that all day. So Everett will probably have a good game. Parham will have a good game because he'll maybe be on the other side, right? You have 2 tight ends going out there. So I guess I'm long-windedly saying that I think that's a little unlikely that we're going to have that happen because we're going to spread the ball around with so many different people. And, we talked about Guyton and Palmer having breakout years. I think there's going to be a lot of junk yardage that people are going to be – we're going to be distributing the ball equally amongst the entire team, a little more than I think we've done in the past. So I think it's unlikely. I'd love to see it, but I think it's going to be a little unlikely. That's my take on it.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I think, honestly, I think we can easily see a 3 wide receiver trio getting 1,000 yards, and my reasoning is because Justin Herbert's going to have another 5,000 yard season. Like I 100% believe that, and because of that, it could go. Well, actually, maybe I take it back. I don't think it's going to be 3 wide receivers with 1,000 yards. I think it's going to be 3 players with 1,000 yards, and it's going to be Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams getting 1,000 yards, not Jalen Guyton, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, or maybe even Everett getting 1,000 yards as well. So maybe, but that's my biggest question is are we going to see 4 players with 1,000 yards receivings? With Everett in that mix as well. That would be freaking wild. I mean,
that would be pretty insane to do something. I mean, you have to statistically think about that. If a quarterback throws 5,000 yards, he's pinning 4 players pretty much every game, which, we have those players that could do something like that. But I think that's probably pretty difficult to do. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't think that works, because you have to think the amount of targets that you have to give, the amount of catches to be able to get them to 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would have to be roughly around 70 catches plus to each one of those guys, to be able to have a chance to get to 1,000 yards.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. And then if we start going to garbage time, garbage time means they're taking away those catches from those players, and you're going to start seeing a lot more Josh Palmer out there, Guyton, Chase Daniels. Those guys start being the guys out there on the field. And most of the time, garbage time means we're just going to run the ball anyway. So that's where Spiller gets involved. So I don't know. That's kind of a tough thing to really think that. And the one thing in the whole idea talking about, are Allen and Williams a top wide receiver duo in the league? And I think they're good. I don't think they're number one, in my opinion. My hatred for the Raiders is one thing, but I do know and understand that there's talent on that team. And I think Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow are awesome.
Oh my gosh,
awesome!
That's a crazy combination.
Great. And then you throw Darren Waller, who's obviously not a wide receiver, but it basically is a wide receiver there and a big target for them. I mean, Hunter Renfrow has some nasty route running, and the dude still looks like he sells cell phones at a Verizon store.
Yeah,
but
he does. Like a dweeb dude with like pleated pants or something like that, and a braided belt or something.
Yeah, right.
But like, Davante Adams is a great wide receiver. I mean, I really think that they're one of the top three, if not one of the betters in the league. And, and obviously I'm pinning on a team that we dislike, but Derek Carr is basically the guy that needs to make that happen and make that duo work. And then if you go, I mean, your wide receivers are only good as your quarterback. And if your quarterback sucks, you're not going to do well. And I go to another duo that I think is fantastic, but doesn't have a quarterback, is the Seahawks with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh yeah, those
I think both of those guys are great. But you got Geno Smith as the quarterback right now.
He's not going to get it done.
Yeah,
no, he's not going to get it done. So I think probably what Bucky Brooks is looking at is, well, okay, let's look at the full package. These wide receivers on the Chargers have one of the top quarterbacks in the league now. That's why they're considered as the number one wide receivers in the league, is because you have Justin Herbert. Because you are going to get that ball to him, to those guys, and they're going to get their meals to eat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where his mindset was. Who's throwing the ball to these guys? Justin Herbert, great. Allen and Williams are going to have a fantastic season. Yep, they're my number one duo because they have a great quarterback.
Right.
Kind of thing.
I think that's bold moves, Cotton, because like
bold move, Cotton.
Yeah, because the truth is that, like, I mean, I don't see the Raiders, Davante Adams, Hunter Renfrow being a top 5 duo at all. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people that do say that. I mean, yeah, okay, and my reason is because Davante Adams is on a whole nother level besides Hunter Renfrow. Renfrow? Anyway, Renfrow. Like, I think, I clearly know that Davante Adams is going to get the ball way more than Hunter Renfrow is. But then maybe not. I mean, because maybe Renfrow is going to get the ball because Davante Adams is going to get locked down because they're always going to be double teaming him. Maybe stuff like that. But my thing is those two is that, like, when it comes to top wide receiver duos, is how long they've been actually playing with the quarterback, because they have to have a good synergy with him, and because a lot of times, like, look, when they're out there on that field, they're not thinking, they're just playing, and they have to have it honed down so well about where they're going to be, where they need to get that ball to, and stuff like that. And Derek Carr has not played with Davante Adams since college. And everything's going to be different, sure, like, they're the pros and they're going to be able to kind of find that synergy again during training camp and stuff. But when I look at these duos, I think of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at Tampa Bay. They got Tom Brady out there. Like, those honestly, those are my top one, wide receiver duos out. I would throw out there because, look, I mean, they got the best quarterback of all time right now playing with them, and both those players are amazing route runners, and they both have like amazing yards after catch. They are like unstoppable. And then you go down the list as well, and then you have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen in the Vikings. Like they're maybe my number 2. I'd say us, because of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have been playing together for so long, and we kept that dynamic duo together. Now I think they're number 3. Like that's on my list, but they could get higher because both of them are such deep weapons and amazing threats. We're gonna be unstoppable with them. So that's my thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in a good point about the Vikings too. And I thought about them too, but I thought, is Kirk Cousins kind of the guy that actually could be on Justin Herbert's level? And he will pin those two guys all the time. Like, those are the two guys that get the ball a lot. And Justin Jefferson's a phenomenal wide receiver, one of the tops in my league. You got to think, and you got to give a shout out to Joe Burrow and the Bengals, though. They have a fantastic.
Jamar Chase. Yep.
Yeah, Jamar Chase.
And T. Higgins.
T. Higgins. I mean, those guys are pretty solid wide receivers too. So,
Tyreek Hill over at the Dolphins as well too, right? Got Tyreek Hill over there, and yeah. I mean, look, I think it comes down to one thing for me. I really think we're going to spread the ball around again. Remember, okay, I'm taking a step back. We run the Saints offense, right? That's what we run.
Yeah.
And I remember being so frustrated in fantasy football. I never wanted any one of Drew Brees's wide receivers because they were never consistent, right? They always had, because he distributed the ball a lot. He was never one of those guys that was like always picking one or two people. Like, one guy would have a breakout game, and then next week he wouldn't have a breakout game because he didn't get the ball for 3 games in a row. So my prediction is, like, again, I still think this year, and again, I will say that I'm going to say one bold thing here too. I don't know that you really want to draft a lot of these players for the Chargers, because I think we're going to distribute the ball so much. The games are going to be inconsistent for performances for all these players this year. Now, Herbert would be definitely worth picking up, right, as a quarterback, and definitely Austin Eckler, maybe Spiller. But I just think the ball's going to be distributed, right? And I think these passes are just going to be all over the map. And he's just, so again, I know we're kind of beating a dead horse here, but I just think there's going to be so many games where the ball is just going to be, 5 catches here, 4 catches here. And it's going to be pretty equally distributed is what I'm predicting this next season.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's the one thing that I definitely think, going back to, I think it was 2019 when we basically had Williams, Allen, and Eckler. Williams was at 1,001 yard. He just got 1 yard over 1,000 basically. Allen with 1,119 yards. Eckler had 993 yards on 90 catches. So we almost had another one of those 3-player duo over 1,000 situation here, and I kind of expect something that could potentially be that way. I don't think that's going to be all of a sudden like Allen or Williams has 1,500, 1,600 yards. I think it'll kind of be a balanced amount of distributing the ball. So I think that's kind of where it's going to be, and that's probably a very good point for you, Andy, too. I think if you're going to look at Chargers players as a fantasy purpose, you're going to have to look for them to be who's the big player that's going to be able to get a lot more touchdowns, because touchdowns are pretty key too.
Exactly correct.
So I think that's a good point. Very good point. So
exactly.
But good. Any other last little points on this? No.
I think that's it. I think that's it. And Kyle, you want to give a little PSA? I know you're heading out to the event here right now. Maybe give us a little closeout for the event you're heading to, and
sure,
see if we can get some more folks there as well too.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll answer a few of the straggler questions that we got in the chat, and then So just so you know, guys, as I was talking about at the beginning of the show, we have the Chargers barbecue event going on today. It's going to be in Mission Bay. It starts at
Beautiful
11
area.
o'clock. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Gorgeous.
And just a huge, it's a massive tailgate situation. So it's basically Thunder Alley. Just put on this whole thing, and like I think it was like Swoop and D Tailgate was like one of like the first people to kind of talk about it. But then the Chargers Bolt fam, Los Rayos, the Die Hard Bolt Club's gonna be there. It's like Bolt Pride Worldwide. It's gonna be everybody. Like, you know, and it's gonna be a really fun time. Like, I mean, if you're out here in the Southern California area, like, I 100% encourage you to go out there. As soon as this is done, I'm gonna start rolling down there and, you know, record some people, like, and meet with some people, like, you know, get face to face, you know, like, and let's have a little chat. We can answer some questions. We can just talk about Chargers. Like, let me know what you're thinking about the season. Let's go. And I'll release that video as quick as I can as well. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
So let's go through a couple of these other questions as well too. By the way, I wanted to make sure I answered Aether's question. I was actually just reading back here. I think we already did, but I just wanted to make sure I put a bow on it. I think you asked, are we going to be a number one ranked offense or a top 5 defense? Definitely a top 5 defense. I think moving from a top 5 defense, I think we're top 3 last year, to a top number 1. That's a big jump.
Yeah.
But I do think this offseason, definitely we are going to be a top 5 defense with the team that we have. So yeah, just to make sure I put a bow on that question for you, Aether. And then what other questions do we have in here that we haven't addressed so far?
See. So I know. I think Aether had a question about JC. Yeah, defensive side of the ball. Do you believe the front 7 will have more sacks or the secondary more picks as a group? Oof.
Sacks, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sacks. Yeah.
Picks are hard to come by in this league, right? I mean, there's so many high percentage throws that these quarterbacks make in the NFL now that it's just very difficult, unless the ball's getting tipped at the line.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the ball gets deflected some way. You know, and if you look at a lot of J.C. Jackson interceptions, a lot of them were because the balls were tipped up in the air, right?
Yeah.
But he positioned his body at the right way to be at the right place, right time. So, but yeah, definitely more sacks than picks for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all fully in agreement on that one for sure. Yeah.
Yep. It's, you know, the thing is our front end is going to be really, really nasty. And I just don't think, I mean, yeah, it's tough to be able to get interceptions. I think fumbles are going to get involved, you know, sack fumbles and everything too, for turnovers purposes and such. But yeah, I just think that front end is going to be super nasty.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be super, super nasty.
Yeah.
I mean, I was even just looking at like our 2006 defense and the amount of interceptions that we got, give or take, it's honestly not a lot. And we had a number 1 defense at that time.
Yeah.
And so the amount of sacks that we had is heavy. Sean Merriman had 17. Sean Phillips had 11.5.
Oof.
That's crazy.
Luis Castillo had 7. Randall Godfrey had 4.4 sacks. So, I mean, it was way surpassing. So the amount of interceptions here, just quick math, it looks like it was maybe about 12 to 13 interceptions.
Wow.
So big difference. So that was when we had a number 1 defense. So if we're going to look at it statistically and say what a number 1 defense looks like, it's generally not through interceptions. It's generally through sacks. And I want to say it was Ron Rivera back in the days, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but Ron Rivera basically talked about, as a defense, you want to have 3 3-and-outs. You want to find 3 different sacks. And then I think you want 1 turnover in some manner. And the reason why, because you kind of break that down and say, well, as a game, you think, well, if you get 3 3-and-outs, obviously that's 3 possessions you're getting back for your offense to score.
Yep.
And 3 opportunities.
Yep.
If you get 3 sacks, basically that's another, if you break that down as 3, that basically could end a drive for a team, or also can be considered as like almost another 3-and-out. And then the turnover ends another drive too. So basically you say that's like 5 times that you get the ball back to be able to give your offense an opportunity to get the ball to score again.
Exactly.
And so the thing is, though, when you start looking at like the number 1 defense and you say, man, Sean Merriman's had 17 sacks that season, which is incredible to think about. I mean, he ended a lot of drives. So the more sacks you get, the more it basically ends drives. Obviously, interceptions do the same thing too. But that's the big key with this. If you could get 5 different times to basically end their drives, that's key for this defense. And so you really get maybe 10 to 12 opportunities in a game to really try to do a drive. If you could just find a way to do that, I think your defense will be totally fine. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's a weird logic, but I think Ron Rivera basically talks heavily about that with defense. That's their goal, to be able to do that. So
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I really feel like it's it's gonna be easier to get sacks than it is gonna get picks, because they're not gonna have a whole lot of time to make a decision, and the coverage is gonna be so like strong that they're not gonna be able to make that decision in enough time. So Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa are gonna feast like freaking Vikings this year, So it's gonna be awesome.
Well, keep in mind, and this maybe will be our last thought, is that look, the Brandon Staley's defense is all about disrupting the line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Blockbusters, right? Putting pressure on the quarterback, and then making the quarterback make a bad decision or a bad throw. Just right. Getting them off their line just enough so that the people in the back area can get picks, right? So the whole point is getting to the quarterback, sacking them, or taking the ball away with your deep threat, right? So again, it's really all about pressure. And I remember one thing he said, Brandon Staley said last year about why our defense did not perform well. He kept saying that our front line was never really playing with our back line. So they never really understood how to play with each other. They had so many injuries, COVID, this and that. And there is some truth to that. I do think the personnel was also an issue. But again, it's about getting the sacks and getting the takeaways across the board, right? That's all it is.
Yep.
Get the ball out of their hands, get it back in our hands, and then we win games. And
exactly.
That's the whole point of the defense. That's all it does is what's the easiest way for us to take the ball away from them, and shut it down. So anyways, pretty interesting thoughts there.
Follow-up question from Herb here.
Okay.
What AFC team do you think we will rack up the most interceptions and sacks on? Will a defense thrive against the Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, or more than others? There you go. And family, trust, and respect, baby. So divisionally, I feel like we'll do the best against the Raiders. Maybe even the Broncos too. Because I feel like their defense didn't improve a whole lot. Obviously they made such a big move with getting Russell Wilson that all their other pieces on their team are pretty much gonna, not be kind of this lackluster, So because they spent a lot for Russell Wilson, and
they did.
I think the rest of everything else is just gonna be bad. But then aside from that, this season, 1000%, we're gonna destroy the Jags. That's gonna be we're gonna be a double digits sacks that game alone. I feel like it's gonna be and maybe we get a couple picks or something. It's gonna be bad for the Jags.
Well, and it's interesting because and I'm gonna say for division wise, you have to look at the O line, and I think that Raiders have one of the weaker O lines, and I think the Broncos have one of the weaker O lines in my opinion too.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
So those are the two teams that you have to think about where we're going to get a lot of sacks. And I do feel like Russell Wilson holds the ball a little bit too long sometimes.
Way too much. Yeah. And he tries to run around too much, too.
He tries to run around, which ends up being sacked. And the amount of sacks that guy's taken in his career is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just throw out, I'm going to say it's going to be against the Broncos. Just for the fact of who Russell Wilson is and all that too. And so,
and he's getting older too. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's lost a step for sure.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of going to be where my answer is, that I think it's going to be the Broncos. So,
yeah, I would say Broncos, Raiders, and then Chiefs is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the Chiefs, you're right. I think the Chiefs have a very good line, and I think Patrick Mahomes is a better version of Russell Wilson right now.
Yep.
And he does a better job of evading. But again, you got to put pressure in his face, right? So that's how I would rank that.
For sure.
Kyle, to bring up your point about the Jaguars too. So, Doug Peterson, I think, is going to do pretty well over there, and he's going to kind of help them out a bit more for him. But I'm not going to say that team is still in a rebuild mode, they have a lot going on. I was talking to Andy earlier this week, and I was like, man, I was watching the replay of the Browns game from last year, which was crazy, and I was like, man, I forgot that Herbert threw over 400 yards in that season or that game.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? My bold prediction is Herbert's going to get 2 500-yard games this year.
Yep.
And I was saying what games are going to be? Well, Jaguars is, I think, one that's going to be that one, because I think we're going to throw all over them. But I think they do have a good defense. They've got some good players on the defense. But I think they're just not ready. It's too early in the season for them to be able to really recover and to be able to know how to recover as a team. And two, I think the Texans are another one that we're going to be able to throw all over too. Those are two teams that are just like,
they're going
we
to be
should have
punching bags.
redemption. Yeah, they're punching bags at that point.
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting 500-yard games for Herbert on that. And that's going to be able to put him at that level again where they're like, wow, Herbert's the MVP again. That's the things that start stacking those stats for him. So it's a bold prediction.
Yeah.
Bold prediction.
Yep. Yeah.
And we'll do probably a bold prediction video down the road as we get closer to the season.
Yeah, and guys, also, in the chat, right before we wrap up here, give us some thoughts. There are some things you want us to go deeper and wider into, right? If there's other things you want us to discuss, we could do short videos on. Give us comments like that. I'd love to hear, hey, can you do a short video on this? Can you do a short video on that? What are your thoughts on such and such person? We'd love to see whatever you guys want us to do some content on, and we'll put it out there for you as well too. Like as I said, we want to always engage with you guys. And just know that we're listening to you, and we want to be involved in your, Charger fandom, just like we are involved in it every day. I mean, literally, guys, like I'm not joking. We talk about it all day on our chat thread, right? And we are constantly talking about it. And it's kind of why it's kind of nice that we're doing this live, because we're having our own conversations as brothers, as Bolt Bros, and then we're involving you guys as well too. So I think it's kind of cool that we have this conversation. So yes, if you have some topics, add it to the thread, and we'll bring some content this week. So
we got one last question from Herb.
Okay.
And it's basically just and after that one we'll just wrap it up for sure.
Okay.
So it says basically the same question for the offense. So which AFC team West team does the Chargers thrive against the most? Shoot, man.
Thrive against
the most.
Meaning scoring the most points,
scoring
yards?
the most points. Yeah, just lighten them up, man. I'm gonna say the Raiders, because like they're week one, because our team's gonna be 100% healthy at that point. Like there's nothing. And we have so much fire about that game right now. Like that we're in it for blood. And again, I think obviously like we don't want to lose to the Raiders at all this year, And
I'd love to sweep the Raiders. Oh my gosh, I don't want to see them win a single game.
No, never do. Yeah. But I feel
I know Lori said we need to sweep the Raiders.
Yeah.
So let's do that. And I mean, let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My thought on that would be Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs.
Okay.
Because I think we have. The Raiders Broncos have new coaching staffs.
Yes.
We're going to be facing them pretty early on in the season. I don't think, again, they don't know their personnel. They don't know what's going to happen. It's very difficult because they don't really know what they really have. And, in the NFL, I think a lot of coaching staffs, they come in and say, this is my offense. This is my defense. I'm going to run it this way. Again, we saw what Brandon Staley did. He did not have the right people for the defense last year. So I do think that they are going to struggle. And then the Chiefs are just the Chiefs. Andy Reid is a fantastic head coach.
Yep.
Their team they just know how to play, right?
Yep.
So I think we're still going to struggle with the Chiefs. But that would be my prediction.
It's interesting because the word thrive is kind of relative. Like, which way are you trying to talk about with thrive? Are you talking about wins? Are you talking about elevation of play? Because my opinion, I feel like if my mind first went to we thrive against the Chiefs, and that sounds really odd to say because we've only beat them 2 times under Andy Reid, and Broncos have never beat them under Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. Yeah. We've only beat Mahomes twice. But the thing is, though, our elevation of our play is so much higher with the Chiefs. So I feel like we thrive a lot more with playing against the Chiefs versus the Raiders versus the Broncos. Because for some reason or another with the Broncos, we always find a way to split with them. And whatever it is, we just do that. I don't know why. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater beat us last year, and that's kind of nuts to see. And I think it was Drew Lock even came into that game too.
Yeah, which was so
weird.
Sad.
Yeah, weird. And then the second game and later in the season, we just smoked them at that point. But I don't understand why that happens. But I feel like if we look at the word thrive, elevating your play is my opinion. So I kind of honestly throw out the Chiefs. Maybe that's a controversial choice, but you got to see when Brandon Staley came in, he basically, how he got the job, he said, this is how you beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
And that's what he's done. I'm going for it on 4th down. I'm going to do this and this, this, and this. And I feel as a team, we thrive off of those games. And I kind of look at it like going into the season, obviously, we played 2 division games right from the get-go. First game against the Raiders, I please 45-0 Chargers win. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh my gosh, just
I'm
donkey
hoping for
punch
that.
them, dude.
Yep.
Just destroy them.
I'm telling you, it's a statement
Herbert
game.
Put 'em in the
with a
ground.
500-yard game. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
500-yard game, 5 touchdowns. Let's go.
Yep. Yep.
Anyways, but then we go right into that Chiefs game right then and there, and that's a big game for us. And we, for some reason, as our team, we want to grow off of that game and give us a lot of motivation. If we end up winning that game and start the season 2-0 in the division, that is a massive for us.
That's
and
huge.
So
Yeah.
I feel like that's a thriving point for our team for the rest of the season. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird for thinking that, but
yeah,
I'm picking the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that game is equally as important as, yeah, as the Raiders, and it's close enough too. It's like we had a short week right away, right? So it's like, gosh, all right, so that's gonna be great. You know, to get both of those things out the door straight away. All right, let's go.
It'd be great.
Yeah,
it'd be great. I'm looking forward to that, and I can't wait for the season to start. So,
oh my gosh,
it's so close.
9 Sundays, baby.
Yeah,
9 Sundays. Can't wait. And again, guys, we are going to be doing live episodes. So if you guys want to watch the game with us, you know, we'll be doing there. Kai will be at the stadium most of the time watching the game. So we're trying to work that format. It's partially why we want to go live as well, too, because then we could kind of figure out how we want to handle that live.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot easier. Kyle doesn't have to edit videos as much. And so it's a little less pressure on him. And so plus we get to engage with you guys. So that's partially why we're trying to work this format, right? But anyways, I will say this, and ERB, yes, more run game talk I think is a good idea. We'll do some research on that this week, and maybe we'll put a couple videos out and kind of see what we think.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we'll kind of stick to that little format where we have a little like midweek, quick discussions about some shorts, reaction videos of something, and we'll have a little good time with that kind of stuff for sure.
Yep. Well, let's wrap up the episode here because I think Kyle's got to get on the road.
Yeah,
you got to get going, dude.
You got to get going, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm already gonna be late. It's fine. So yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but you know what though, Kyle, have fun down there. Really, seriously, have fun.
Time.
I mean, I wish I could be there. Mission Bay is gorgeous. I love Mission Bay. It is.
Great place.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
I remember I was talking about playing Over the Line. Are people playing Over the Line out there very often on the beach now?
They might. Yeah, like I mean, I have a football I'll bring. Maybe we can throw a ball around over there. I mean, I might bring I have this big old bucket type thing. It's like meant for like beer pong, but it's like big old buckets. You use it for like the beach and stuff. So I'll bring those. Cool. And like we'll maybe do some challenges with some people and stuff like that.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Good.
So
awesome.
we'll
have fun, dude.
We'll have a good time for sure. So yeah.
Well, I wish I was there with you.
Yeah.
So
I wish you were too. Hey man. Hey. I wish James should have been rolling with that Bolt Pride 602 group, man. Come on now.
Man,
I know what's up, man.
Hey.
Yeah. I didn't even know, dude. They all of a sudden posted up. Yep, we'll be there, and I was like, oh, dang.
You didn't know about that? I've been talking about this thing for weeks, bro.
Did not know. I did not know. Well, I knew about that.
Yeah,
I didn't know they were going out there.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, let's wrap it up, guys. Yeah. So another good episode. Thanks, guys, for joining in and logging in. We appreciate it. Always love the content that you guys bring to our shows and the directions and your guys' opinions and thoughts and everything. But we're doing this for the love of the Chargers. So we love the Chargers and we love the fans here. So, once again, my name's James. I'm part of the Bolt Bros here with my 2 bros, Kyle and Andy.
That's right.
Thanks, guys, for logging in. And Bolt up. We out.
Let's charge.